you guys, it's Alan, the Fireman 1028, and this morning, which is a beautiful June 14th, I think, Father's Day, beautiful Sunday morning, about 7:15, 7:30, and we're taking a true first ride on our new to us BMW R Nine T Scrambler. And like I said, I did a little, first ride. Literally just took it out of the guy's driveway and went down the block, hopped off the bike, took a look at it, got back on and took off. Gave him the money, and we went to Gettysburg for the rest of the day. But this is going to be a true kind of first ride. We're going to do some walk around. We're going to look at the bike. Actually, we're going to do that. We're going to do the walk around right now. We're heading over to the Sunbelt Rentals, over to their parking deck. We'll go to the upper level of their parking deck, which, nice little view. And we'll do a walk around to the bike and just kind of look at some of the features and take it on the interstate. We'll do, again, we got cruise control. That's one of the main reasons why we got the 21 Plus. There's other reasons, and we'll go over those as well. But we'll take it on the interstate. It's a naked bike. We'll see how it does. I suspect it's actually not going to do that bad because it's naked and you're kind of sitting at a little bit of an angle. But I've had other high-powered naked bikes before, and it's really not that bad because you can. The wind kind of holds you up, almost like a sport bike. The wind kind of holds you up, so it's really not that bad. So I'll be interested to try that out and see how that does, along with the cruise control. Not the first bike I've had cruise control on, but it's always nice, and we'll talk about what the purpose of this bike is, and love ride through parking decks. We'll have about 5 minutes in here before the security guard comes and runs us out, but it's okay. I know people. We'll listen to the sound of it. Here, open it up. And like I said, we're going to talk about the bike a little bit and just kind of go over some of the features. Again, this is not a full review. This is almost just, it's a first ride. First real ride. How about that? That's what we'll call it, the first real ride. So let's pull right over here in the parking deck. And we'll do a little walk around, and we'll ride down to one of my favorite spots down at Chester, down at that little lake. Let's see how neutral is to find. All right, so we're down first. Oh, okay, nice snick into neutral. So, like I said, we're going to do we'll do a walk around of the bike. We'll just kind of look at everything. Again, I got a couple hours this morning before we got to church service. And actually, it's our first service back in our sanctuary net since it's been remodeled, and that was one of my projects. So I'm proud of that. But so 2021 R Nine T Scrambler, and it's a long name, but whatever. I'm gonna start off by saying this is probably one of the best looking bikes I've ever seen. Is it a Panigale with these beautiful body work? No, but look at just the mechanical, just rawness of the bike. Seeing everything out there with seeing the path of the exhaust and seeing the fins on the cylinders, which do work because this is an air and oil cooled bike. Just the mechanical rawness of the bike. It just speaks to me. So the Scrambler model gets the high exhaust. It is an Akrapovic exhaust. It doesn't sound like it, which I love the high exhaust because what it does is it exposes that single-sided swing arm here, and the tubeless wheels that you get with the newer bikes, spoked tubeless wheels. It just looks so good. The front wheel, nothing fancy about that. You got Brembo brakes on it. You see the routing of the exhaust just nice and exposed, just out there. Which we're gonna have to do something I'm already looking at some solutions for this cross pipe right here to put a skid plate. The factory skid plate only is on the bottom, but there's a couple companies that have one that actually kind of has a little lip right here that'll help kind of protect that. Use traditional right side up forks. Only the R Nine T, just the plain R Nine T, gets the upside down forks, which honestly for what we're doing, this is perfectly fine. The 21 Plus gets the LED headlight, it gets the LED turn signals, it gets the cruise control, it gets the IMU, it gets the ride-by-wire, it gets the ride modes. Some say it's not as raw, and that's probably accurate, but it's still, I mean, this is a just raw bike. It's a beautiful blend of old school looks and mechanical simplicity and new school electronics. Find me another bike that does this right here. I'll wait. So the walk around, here's your intake horn right here. I mean, just a big old wide open, just like a largemouth bass, just opened up. Here's your oil cooler. It does come with a steering dampener, and that's probably because of the rake. I mean, it's a real steep. You can see the rake of it. It's real steep, and like I said, you're supposedly supposed to take this off road. We're gonna find out on that. And we do have a big old catalytic converter up underneath there. We might make that disappear. The old traditional BMW swing arm with a drive shaft built into it. Again, I'm not new to BMWs. I've had plenty. R1100s, R1150s, R1200s, R1200 GS. Haven't had any 1250s or 1300s. So I'm not new to air-cooled, oil-cooled BMWs. My last one was a 2014 1200 GS, which I've mentioned before. And, so these bikes are not foreign to me, how to service the drive shaft and all that stuff. So again, like I said, it is such a gorgeous bike, and I cannot wait to get out and ride it. So we're actually right here, right beside I-77 in Fort Mill. They're building a new bridge right over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it out. We're going to ride down to Chester. We're going to fill it up with fuel. See how that process works. See how easy the gas tank is to access. See how the interstate riding is. See some backcountry roads. We're going to go down, park by the little lake down in Chester, and we'll see how it does. So we'll see you back on the interstate. All right, guys. So let's hop on the interstate. And let's see how the R Nine T Scrambler does. Again, this is a beautiful Sunday morning. Close my visor here so you can hear me. We're in top gear. Don't know the engine speed because we don't have a tachometer, which is fine. I mean, it's not the end of the world. So right now we're going about 75 miles an hour. We're going to set the cruise control, and yeah, actually, it's really not that bad. I mean, you can feel the wind pushing against you at this speed here, which really kind of counteracts the lean forward. So, honestly, if you were leaning forward a little bit more, it would really actually work out better. But at this position here, honestly, it's not bad. I could ride this. I mean, like I said, I'm not holding on for dear life. I was telling my son about my Speed Triple R, 2021, 2022. It's got 120, 130 horsepower. I took it on track day and on the straightaway VIR north. I mean, I'm turning 140 miles an hour, and I'm doing everything I can to literally hold on to the damn bike. It was pulling. I mean, it was trying to rip me off of the bike. So that was always fun. But I mean, the mannerisms. I mean, it's fine. I mean, if it was a really windy day, it'd probably suck. Just because, like I said, you're completely naked, everything's exposed. You know, I can feel a lot of wind on my knees, obviously on my chest and on my helmet. Of course, I have a peak visor, which is probably not helping. But you know, it's not the end of the world. At these speeds, you can't really hear the tires. I hear the mechanical of the engine just kind of humming away, and you know, which is fine, which is great. But the cruise control, like I said, for me, and I've got, I don't know, I work out, so I'm always hurting something. So my right wrist is always kind of giving me issues. So anytime that I can get a bike with cruise control, I'm going to do it. My Transat has cruise control. My 390 Adventure is going to have cruise control. Meridian, and we'll make a phone call back to you guys. So you know, it's one of those where if you can have it, get it. I mean, it really is. Once you've had a bike with cruise control, it's kind of a game changer for me. So anyway, that's that. Yeah, like I said, I'm feeling a good bit of wind on me, and I could kind of lean down and kind of cut some of the wind, but you know, I'm going 75, so it's a little bit faster than what you're supposed to. But yeah, keep both hands on there. It's no problem. The 2021 bikes also come with heated grips. I think it is standard. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think heated grips is standard as well. So even though it's it's a 70-degree morning, and I got some nice vented gloves, I really don't need it. But we're going to try out the cruise control. We're going to try out the heated grips. We're already trying out the cruise control. So it's got its own dedicated button right here. So it starts off. The first mode is the high mode. So we're going to put it in that on the heated grips, and let's just see how that does. Now the bike also has 3 rider modes. So it's got road, it's got rain, and it's got dirt. Now, I don't quite know what all the different modes do. I do know that when I did the test ride, I think it was in rain, and I was still impressed with the power. And then I got home and I put it in road, and I was like, oh, that throttle response is it's a lot stronger than what it was in rain. So it took me a minute to kind of recalibrate my wrist for the road mode. All right, so we're about a mile down the road, and the heated grips, I can feel those heating up now. And BMW has some really good heated grips from the factory, so I imagine these are going to be pretty toasty. If it wouldn't mess up the aesthetics, I'd probably put some grip puppies. Slide some grip puppies over top of this. One, it'll help out with some of the vibration. Because with these tires, it's the Metzeler Peru 3 tires, and they're pretty loud. The second set of tires, I'm not quite sure what we're going to put on there, but maybe something, I don't know, maybe something not as aggressive. Because we do plan on renting this bike out on Rider Share, Twisted Road, and on Eagle Share. Rider Share has been absolutely fantastic, guys at Rider Share. You guys, thumbs up to you guys there. You've been really fun to work with. You don't have an app, which is weird. Twisted Road actually make more money. At least I have found that to be true. You make more money with Twisted Road. Again, I don't know if I'm comparing apples to apples as far as the insurance coverages and everything else, but they have an app, and it's easy to work with. And all the riders that I've rented to have been really cool. I do plan on renting other bikes as well. But I just hadn't had time to do it, so I haven't even had time to do riding videos. The only time I've had is really doing installation videos in my shop, and that's just, nobody cares about those. Alright, so we're another 6-7 miles down the road, and you kind of get used to the position that you're in. My knees are up. They're not high up, but they're not down low either. We might look around and see if there's companies that make lowering pegs to kind of put my knees as not as steep of an angle. With the steepness of the angle, that also puts more pressure on the butt. So I do feel, even though the seat's not uncomfortable, I I do feel that I'm sitting in this one specific spot on my butt, and I can already feel that maybe it's not uncomfortable, but maybe a pressure point starting to build there. So that's just something to kind of keep an eye on and to watch. So we'll see about that. But you know, it's not a lightweight bike, but it's not a heavy bike. It's, I don't know, 460, 480. I probably should look at those numbers. I'll put it on the screen right here. So it's got enough mass where, you know, it's not really going to get blown all over. The bike itself is not going to get blown all over the road. Now, if it's a windy day, yeah, you're probably going to be moving around because all the wind is coming directly on you. There's nothing to block the air. I would be tempted to ride an Urban GS that has a little fairing on the windshield to see if that actually does anything, see if that actually makes a difference or not. I can't imagine it makes that big of a difference, being that it's such a little small little thing that goes around the headlight. So I can't imagine it would make a huge difference. All right, let's accelerate up to, let's go to 80. We'll do a little accelerating. So there's 80 right there. Really, not much difference. It still beat me up pretty good. It's not beating me up. It's just about an 80 mile an hour wind. Go figure. So let's speed up. There's 85. The bike is still plenty stable. I feel nothing in the bike there. Speed up. There's 90. I'm starting to feel a little bit of instability in the front end, but nothing crazy. Pass this car here. A peaked helmet. Again, I've done a lot of track days and everything, and I've gone plenty fast. And doing the head check, you turn your head doing the head check, it's nothing that's uncommon to me. But doing that with a dual sport helmet with a peak kind of tries to rip your head off at these speeds. So let's speed up. Let's see what 90 looks like. Okay, 90's not bad. Definitely feeling some vibration in my feet through the engine. This little guy's singing at this point. Let's go up. Let's try 95. Yay! There's 95. Definitely feels a little light on the front end. We're going to hit 100 just to see what it does. We'll tuck in a little bit. There's 100, and it's definitely you're on a naked bike. There's no denying that. So 100. Okay, I did it. I can say I've done 100 miles an hour on this bike. So that's probably gonna be the last time I ever do that. Will it do it? Yes. Is it sketchy? Also yes. So we're not gonna do that anymore. And the heated grips really work. Without, had a pretty good grip on the handlebars there, and I could definitely feel those heated grips. So we'll turn them down to low and just kind of see how that does. Again, we're still in road mode. Some of the other models, like the Pure, I think the Pure, or the Racer, or the just plain R Nine T. The plain named one is the high spec one, and the other ones with names are the lower spec. So go figure. I know that one comes with a dynamic mode, which I don't know what the hell that does, but these three modes here are just fine, and we'll play with the modes and kind of feel the different how the throttle response reacts. Suspension's definitely bouncy. The front end, there's no adjustment at all, and the rear has a preload adjustment, so it's a pretty basic suspension on these models. I do know Olin's makes a really nice drop-in, full drop-in kit for this thing. It's like $800, which honestly, for anything that goes into a BMW or anything that's got Olin's on it, that's really not that bad. So, and I've heard it really kind of transforms the front end of the bike. Rear shocks, there's tons of options for the rear shocks, and I have read where the big catalytic converter is underneath the bike is right beside the rear shock, so it gets a lot of heat on it at low speed. So the rear shock, which is pretty common in GS as well. So I've heard the rear shock, if you're doing a lot of low speed, you tend to cook the rear shock pretty fast. So who knows? We'll see. Alright, so we dropped our speed down to 72, 73 miles an hour, and this is probably definitely the kind of the sweet spot for riding on the interstate where, you know, the speed limit here on 77 is 70, 77 is 70. So you don't want to be going too slow, but you also, you know, the faster you go, the more wind you're getting, the more you're going to get beat up, and the less stable the bike is going to get, as we saw earlier. But I think 72, 73 is kind of the sweet spot where you don't have a ton of wind on you, so you can sit back, you can kind of relax, you can look around, you're not death grip on the thing. You can kind of sit back and let the bike kind of do its thing. At this speed, there's no vibration. There's not a ton of vibration coming from the bike. Your feet aren't buzzing, your hands aren't buzzing. You can take a hand. And honestly, with the seating position, I'm finding right here, putting my hand on my knee or putting my elbow on my knee is actually a pretty comfortable position. I did have I was one of the first ones to have I was one of the first ones to have one of the new the Bonneville T120s in 2017 when it first came out. I was one of the first ones to have one of those, and it was kind of a similar. That was more relaxed, but still kind of a similar seating position, and I could put my knee, put my elbow on my knee, and kind of relax like that. So that's what I'm doing with this one now. It's kind of you can see my leg here, and it's kind of cocked out to the side. Got my elbow on my knee, almost like a sport bike riding position. But again, you got the cruise control, so you can do that. Watch out for the bumps. It's not like bumps. So you can kind of cock your butt to the side and kind of sit on a different pressure point with your elbow on your knee like that, and just kind of cruise. Kind of looks badass anyway too. So so it's one of those where it's kind of comfortable. You can do that on the right. You can do that on the left. Kind of open your legs up, get a little bit of airflow. Another good thing about a naked bike is that you're not going to get swamp nuts. Tons of airflow. Standing up, I don't think I want to stand up on this bike, not on the interstate. The seating position is kind of a canted forward position, so you're standing up and kind of leaning over. I don't think that's something I want to experience right now. So we're going to cruise down the interstate just a little bit. We're going to get off at exit 65. There's a quick trip right there. We're going to fill up the bike. I don't know how much fuel we have because I don't have a fuel gauge either, which is kind of an odd thing. Maybe at least put it in here where I can scroll and see a fuel level. Just something simple. Over here, that would make a lot of sense, but we don't have it. So we're going to have to do the old school of before bikes had fuel gauges, and you can fill up the bike, reset your trip, and track it from there. And then once you start getting close to that mileage, then you do it again. So, not the end of the world. Again, blend of old school and new school. So old school, no gas gauge, no tachometer. New school, heated grips, cruise control, rider modes, 6-axis IMU, stuff like that. So it's just it's a really cool blend of old and new, and kind of bringing them together in one gorgeous looking package. So. Okay, we're just going to cruise down the interstate for a minute, and I'll pick you up at the gas station. All right, guys, so we're getting off the interstate, and let's see how we disengage the cruise control. So we do a quick tap of the rear brake. Cruise control disengages. Piece of cake. So again, the interstate, manners and characteristics. Again, you're on a naked, cruiser. Scrambler, whatever, muscle bike, whatever you want to call it. So it's not going to be perfect, but honestly, it's better than I thought it was going to be, to tell you the truth. Again, the weight of the bike really helps. And again, I'm sitting here at a red light here. Let's even put it in neutral. Let's put it in neutral right here. Goes in neutral, nice, and got my foot on the rear brake. Now we're just going to give it a little throttle. The whole bike shakes. I love that. Alright guys, we stopped at a little church here out in the outskirts of Chester. Set up my 360 camera, try to get a couple cool shots. And I purposely left the bike just sit there idling. Again, it's only 75 degrees outside, but I left the bike idling just to see the kind of the engine temperatures. And I let it idle for probably 5 minutes, and You see, it was at 3 bars, and it only went up 1 bar. So I mean, really not that bad. It's got a good sized oil cooler in the front, which we need to get some protection for. But again, overall not that bad. And let's see how long it takes for it to drop that down. These Metzeler Karoo tires are definitely a little loud, but again, I ride dual sports and adventure bikes, so it's not the end of the world. And it really, even if you don't take this bike off road, the look by itself is enough to keep them on there. Could you put a more road bias tire on there? Yeah, but who cares? You know, you're not, you know, we're not doing mountain climbing with this thing, and we're not doing track days with this thing right now. But these tires are fine. Now, when these wear out, maybe try a set of Mitas. They used to be called the 07s, the E07 Dakars and everything else, but I think they changed the name of them now to, I don't know, something else. I've had those on my 890 Adventure, and you know, really good tire. Is this my road right here? This is my road. Nope, it's not my road. You know, a good tire, and you know, maybe not as loud as these Karoos. So maybe we'll experiment. And I know, or maybe a hide now, something with the rear tire, something with a nice, you know, center tread. Because I imagine, especially putting this in the rental fleet, it's going to get a lot of miles, and you're going to want something that's going to be able to, you know, wear pretty good on the rear. Like what's the tires that's on my Transalp? That rear tire is flattening out pretty good, so I'm gonna have to, you know, look at something down the road. Because once the tire flattens out too much in the center, when you actually do lean it, it almost feels like it's falling off. If it gets too squared off, fine for commuting, but for something like that, once you lean it and you feel like a transition, it starts to fall off. And, you know, even though it's got plenty of meat, it sucks to ride. Beautiful Sunday morning. Father's Day, Sunday morning. Just out for a quick ride. Just wanted to get my first impressions of this bike. Sit down, we'll look at it, take some glamour shots. There's our road. It sneaks up on you. It really does. With the power of this thing is. There's 80. Just like that. So, I mean, if whoever tells you 110 horsepower is not enough, they're full of shit. 110 horsepower is plenty of, what, 70, 80 foot-pounds of torque, something like that, on a 460, 480 pound bike. Come on, guys. It is plenty of power. So our engine temp still stayed at 4 bars, which is fine. I mean, there's 2 or 3 bars to go, so it's not like it's not hot, it's not overheating. You know, really, there's barely any heat on the cylinders. So I love it. And when you stop at a red light, it kind of smells like oil, and you can hear it ticking, and you know, all the metal expansion and everything else. It's just again, it's such a raw experience, but with a little bit of technology. So. What's for sale down here? I'll have to take a look at that. That's Stephen Cooley. Alright guys, so we're going to put the bike, set it up, a nice little photogenic spot over by the lake over here. Pond, lake, whatever it is. Set a chair up, get the water out. My throat's getting a little dry. We'll talk about it and see you in a bit. Alright guys, so we are down here in Chester at our favorite little fishing pond. Just kind of set up, just wanted to just kind of talk about the bike and just, you know, just kind of put some thoughts down really on this first ride of the bike. Talk about what our plans are for it, what mods we want to do, things like that. But you know, and we'll go over a couple of the specs. So the engine, if you're familiar with BMW lingo, is the cam head which was the last iteration of the Boxer before they went to the water cooled or water Boxer. I don't know what the German is for it, but so it's 1170 cc's. So she's a big girl. You could take both of our T-dubs and our Van, put all three of those together, and it's not one of these jugs right here. So it's a lot of displacement. I mean, almost 1200 cc's of displacement, and it puts out 109 horsepower. The previous model put out 110. But for Euro 5 emissions, they changed some things, did this and that, bigger catalytic converter. It's down to 109. So again, not really much of a loss on power there. It does have 80 foot-pounds, 87 foot-pounds of torque. So for a bike that weighs, for a bike that weighs 492 pounds, having 80 foot-pounds of torque and 110 horsepower, it's not a Panigale or even a CBR 600 RR, but it'll move. It's definitely, I would consider it kind of a, it's a scrambler, it's a cruiser, it's a muscle cruiser. It's kind of its own separate category, and I love bikes like that. You see what I do with bikes is I want something that can do a little bit of everything. Can I cruise down the interstate? Sure. Can I take it to a Cars and Coffee or a bike meet and people come and look at it? Yeah, Am I going to take it off-road? Hell yeah, I'm going to take it off-road. It's going to be a blast. I need some protection on the front before we do that. But again, it's just kind of I love a good do-it-all bike. So like I said, 1170 cc's, 110 horsepower, 87 foot-pounds of torque. The Scrambler model does give you a 19-inch front wheel, which is, again, it's not a 21, which is what a true off-road bike would have, but a 19 is a lot better than a 17. It gives you a lot more options as far as tires go for dual sport purposes, and it's a lot easier to kind of go over, stuff in the off-road. Your rear wheel, again, this beautiful spokeless rear wheel, or excuse me, tubeless spoked rear wheel. I've always loved how BMW does their rear wheels. Are they more expensive to do like this? Yes, but does it look so much better? Oh my gosh, this thing looks so good. So the rear is a traditional 17-inch. So, again, not the best. Most off-roads have an 18 on the rear, but still plenty of options as far as on the for rear tire for dual sport purposes. Not your real hardcore off-road tires. You don't really have those options there. Again, we specifically went with the 21 and up model for the reasons I'd mentioned earlier. The cruise control being the number one. But in addition to that, you get the ABS, anti-lock braking system. You get the 6-axis Bosch IMU, which what that does is, if you're not familiar with that, it gives the bike spatial awareness. It knows where it's at, up, down, left, right, front, back. It knows where the bike is at in relation to anything else. And what that does is that allows the traction control to know exactly what the bike's doing. And then along with the ABS sensors, the computer in there really has an idea as to what the bike is doing. And that allows a lot more precise traction control and cornering ABS. Traditional ABS, the bike's upright. And the front wheel, the ABS ring, it'll know, okay, hey, the front wheel is skidding, or the front wheel is stopping normal, and then it won't activate the ABS. Cornering ABS takes that to a whole new level. Okay, the bike is going 37 miles an hour, it's at a 36-degree angle, and now we feel the front tire slipping. So it's a lot more precise, and it's a lot smarter as to how it figures those things. And you can turn them off, but it's nice to have, especially on a wet road, this and that. Again, we're putting this bike in our rental fleet, so I want to be able to give somebody something that is as safe as possible, and to keep people from crashing my bike and having to go through the process of filing a claim and everything else. So I wanted those things in addition to the ABS and the cruise control. So again, I'm super excited about this bike and what we're going to do with this. I'm not speaking too loud because there's some people fishing right over to the left of me there. Again, it's a beautiful Sunday morning. It's Father's Day. Actually, I'm gonna go wish the guy Happy Father's Day before I take off out of here. Again, the bike has got some really nice specs. The forks are kind of cheap and inexpensive, but we can really fix those with some Öhlins internals, and we're going to do that. It does come with Brembo brakes. They are actually mounted. They're not radially mounted, but they stop the bike plenty fine. They're four piston Brembos. And like I said, it does have an Akrapovic exhaust, which comes stock with the Akrapovic. You can see the little symbol right here. I know there are some mods to make it sound a little better without having to go to an aftermarket system. There's a flapper mod and a couple other things that we can do that will probably help with reliability, but then also kind of give it a little bit more sound. So like I said, let me give you a quick walk around of the bike. And as we walk around, we'll talk about talk about some things on it and talk about what our plans are with the bike. So again, there's our big old honking cylinders sticking out. I'm debating whether to get crash guards for it. How they stick out is that Unit Garage makes a really beautiful set, but they stick out and kind of come out here, which kind of takes away some of the aesthetics of the bike. Maybe a better solution would be to just put some plates on the cylinder heads, some skid plates or something, crash guards on the cylinder heads, because when you drop the bike, it's going to land right there. Maybe some crash guards there, and then some hand guards, and that would really kind of protect the bike, because that's your 2 points that's going to hit. There's our Brembo brakes right here up front. Again, our Metzler Karoo 3 tires. There's a big honking air intake right there on the side. There's our steering dampener there. Foot pegs are rather small, and they do have rubber inserts. I am going to call my guys at Pivot Pegs and see if they've got anything that we could put out for that. There's our drive shaft coming across here. Again, I love the single-sided swing arm. It's just absolutely gorgeous. There's our big honking catalytic converter right underneath there. Might see if we can do something with that. There's our 17-inch rear wheel there. It does have a pretty decent size tail, but honestly, it's really not that bad. It doesn't bother me. And I know Unit Garage actually makes a luggage rack that kind of would fill this void right here, which would kind of make this kind of not stand out as much and give you some options as far as luggage. And speaking of luggage, what we're going to do is, again, Unit Garage, awesome stuff. I'll put a link in the description, is they have a saddlebag kit. They've got canvas, they've got TPU, but they've got a waxed suede 30-liter saddlebag. And we're going to do one. And we'll look at it from the back here. With our exhaust over here on the left-hand side, we're going to do a single bag, and they got a little mount that goes right there, and a single 30-liter bag, suede canvas bag right there on the side. In addition to the color of the seat, my gosh, that's going to look so good. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for our first ride. Again, we got to get back, get cleaned up, get ready for church. Again, we got our first service back in our renovated sanctuary, which we're kind of excited about that. Sisk Memorial Baptist Church in Fort Mill, South Carolina. But again, this was just a first ride. I just want to get out and just kind of get some initial thoughts and in real time as I ride the bike, kind of convey it to you guys as to what I think about it. And again, I'm really excited. I know I say that about every bike because I just love motorcycles, but I'm really excited about this bike here and what we're going to do with it and the potential that it has. So again, thank you guys for watching. Please, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, comment on the bike. Do you like the green color? Do you not? Tell me, give me some thoughts. Let's start a conversation in the comments there. But roll tide, God bless, and remember, tomorrow needs you. Thanks, guys.